New Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network, tonight's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith. And we have a very special guest today at Real, BenjiIrby, Benji Irby. And again, folks, this is the new news outlet. This is where you're going to get all the breaking news of the day. We wrap it all up, make sense of it, expose the fake news, giving you the real news, and just kind of a heads up on the show notes. I was talking with some folks about this last night, and I just told everybody that for the first time, because I thought everybody knew, but in the description below, there's a link for the show notes. That'll take you directly over to New Right Network's website where the show is live. You see the video there, and then all the detailed show notes with all the links to every Twitter account that we showcase, that we talk about, and we show the real news, also with all the links to all the articles that we read, which I highly suggest. If we talk about an article, I highly suggest you go back and read the details of the article. And without any further ado, Benji Irby, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's been such a while since we finally connected, and we're finally here and doing this. I'm very happy to be here.
Absolutely, folks. We were going back and forth on trying to set this up and schedule this, and I'm really excited about that.
Around 2015, 2016, I found myself homeless. I lost my apartment, and basically I just started doing Uber, so I was living in my car and like working in the car at the same time. Wow. And I had met this guy in like early 2016, and basically we started dating or whatever, and we eventually started to live together. I didn't have a place to stay, so I kind of was just staying with him. He came to tell me he was a Mexican illegal immigrant. He came through the border when he was 5 with his family, walked through the desert, did that whole thing. His family was involved in agri in Northern California, like, strawberries, oranges, whole nine. He had a brother who got deported 3 times. They ended up raising the money and sending and bringing him back. He himself had gotten like 3 DUIs and, never been deported or anything. He had a fake Social Security number. He went to college, got jobs. He had an apartment. The apartment that he lived in Manhattan was really nice. I was staying there with him, and, he's a little bit younger than me. A few years younger than me. I'm 35, so he was a few years younger than me. At the time, he had this really nice apartment, good job and everything. And one day, as I was, doing Uber and delivering packages and stuff like with the gig economy, trying to, make ends meet, we were on our way driving him to work one morning, and, I was on my whole, what was me, wokey, white man bringing me down, whole thing that black folks do. And he was like, I don't get it. He was like, my story, all I went through, while I went through with the border or whatever with my family, going through the desert, walked through 2 weeks, I have my whole life, fake Social Security number, fake everything to get here. So like, what's black people's excuse? And in that moment, I thought to be offended because we black people always offended about everything. But, it just clicked for me. And it was like, he's absolutely right. Like, there's something that, what am I missing in my country that these people come with nothing, you know what I mean? And they're coming, they're excelling, but yet I feel as though like I don't belong here. There's something wrong. So it just made me start looking into everything. I started looking into my politics. What do I believe? What I don't believe? I actually looked up what is Democrat, what is Republican, because honestly, I didn't know. Most black people don't know. I'd gather to say most people in general don't know. What do the parties mean? What are they about? Big government versus small government and things like that. And I realized that I'm much more conservative than I.
Well, the folks just got to see your pinned tweet of your interview and you talking about kind of where you came from and what you're doing. Kind of give us a recap of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the video, I talk about how I found myself homeless in the beginning of 2016. I begun talking to this guy, and we started to date or whatever. We were together for a little while, and he confided in me that he was a Mexican illegal immigrant. This is before I turned conservative. It was when I was more liberal. A Democrat just out of default. That's what black folks supposed to be, default. And as time went on, he would tell me about things that happened in his life, telling about how he came over the border, how he's lived his whole life with a fake social security number, went to college, did all this stuff. He even told me about how the stuff you hear about on Fox News, everybody thinks is like right wing conjecture with law enforcement and things like that being lax on illegals in California. That a lot of that stuff is true. So a lot of that I heard straight from the horse's mouth, even before I was conservative. But it came to a head with an argument that we had one morning in July of 2016, where I was lamenting about being a black man and the country, and saying I'm a black man in America and woe is me, all that bulky stuff that we're all socialized to doing. And he came back and he retorted at me, and he said, you see all I've been through. You see how my family came in with nothing. What's black people's excuse? And in that moment, my whole life changed. I started looking into my politics, and ultimately, upon taking the choice and having the research in front of me of both sides, I picked the better side for me. And here I am on the Trump train, toot toot. Ever since.
Fantastic. No, we were talking before the show, and I've always been debated about actually getting into the details of my past and things that have happened. For those of you who have been on the show and have been listening to me since 2014, you know a lot of some of the details, but I can relate with you, Benji, without a doubt. Back in right after 9/11, I took off and went to California to live out in LA. I was part of the film industry, and I getting involved in that. Saw the dark side of that and said, no, I don't want nothing to do with this. But yeah, one thing led to another, and I found myself homeless as well. I made a makeshift bed in the car and just kind of went around from place to place, just trying to figure things out. And again, you talking about Larry Elder, I listened to him on the radio out there, just an absolute voice of reason.
Larry.
Started to work on myself. I think it was Larry that first coined, I think he's the only one that coined the term victocrat, and explained to me who I was, that I was a victim of society. And then I needed to stop being that victim and start to do something with my life. And like you said, because you're black and he confronted you with that, I had to look in the mirror myself and said, hey, just because everybody else has got something else, regardless of where I am and what color I am, I need to pick myself up and start to move forward. And lo and behold, fast forward 12, 13, 14 years later, and I'm on the air with you, man.
Right. There you go. I mean, they have to convince you that you're a victim, because, if you're not a victim, then how can they not be out there trying to save you? Like, that's the point. Like, they're here, supposedly the Democrats are going to save you. But that, for them to be a savior, there always has to be someone who has to be saved. They have to keep perpetual victim status going, because if there's no victims, then they're not going to be elected. Victors don't vote Democrat.
No, and of course, and I lived in South Central at one point in time. That's where I met my wife, in South Central. And there are so many people out there that literally, like you said in your video, you could go to Huntington Park, HP, and you could get a driver's license, social security card, birth certificate for like $120. Different name, different place. She worked at, I can call it out now because they're bankrupt, but you remember Bally Total Fitness?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she worked there, and she'd hire and fire people, and she couldn't discriminate. And she knew that the stuff wasn't legit, but she couldn't turn them away because of the laws and the rules. And
even now, it's so funny to me how they're pushing for legal immigration. Yet, if you watch Tucker Carlson this week, you've seen all of the tent cities set up in all these cities along the West Coast, not just LA and San Francisco, but, places like Eugene, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon, and even like in Seattle, Washington. And it's just nuts to me that they can say that, America's not full. It's crazy for Trump to say America's full, when we're clearly not taking care of our own people. And it's funny how in the midst of all this, the new governor, Gavin Newsom, he goes all the way down to El Salvador to talk to them about poverty when you have to literally be in your motorcade and drive past homeless encampments on your way to the airport in Sacramento. It's absolutely nuts. It's nuts. But they have to import more victims. They have to import more voters because they're seeing that it's a sham. It's literally a sham. They see that people are starting to see the sham for what it is, little by little. And I do see that. Even with Joe Biden, I mean, they're trying to lift up Joe Biden to be like this, Trump takedown savior, and that's not happening. I don't see Joe Biden even getting out of the Democratic primary. I think the media is only blowing him up because he appears to be this centrist, supposed person to go up against Trump. But I can tell you right now, as long as Democrats are for legal immigration and are this extreme on abortion, they're not beating President Trump in 2020. I don't see it. I don't say we should get complacent at all. No. I hear what you've done with the Political Action Committee. We definitely need as much help we can in states like Ohio. I'm so glad in the midterm that the most important races to me were the governors of Ohio and Florida. And we got both of those, thank God. To me, all the other stuff I didn't really care about. The House, I mean, I knew that they were going to get the House. I didn't really care about the House so much. I think they're going to lose the House again, because what they don't realize that the reason why they have the House is not because of AOC and Ayanna Pressley and all the other nuts, Justice Democrat people. They got it because of the Republican light Democrats like Connor Lamb and people like that and their promises on health care. Yeah. We've seen that since then they've done zero on health care and have a million different, investigations, which I knew that they were going to do. They're following the path that I thought they were going to follow, and it's going to be a losing path in 2020.
Right, and as difficult and as painful as it is to watch Nancy Pelosi, whether she's sober or not, I honestly, truly believe, just as we needed Barack Obama to win in 2012, that absolutely had to happen. Donald Trump would probably have never been president ever if Mitt Romney, Mittens had won. Yeah. And so we needed that another 4 years. And during that time, we now see the whole Spygate and everything and all the rotten things that they've been doing. And we needed all that pain and suffering, if you will, to actually pull the trigger and drive into a different trajectory. Going with Trump, I honestly believe that we needed one last taste of what the Democrats will do. Not can,
and also
but will
he needs to be reelected so that racism wouldn't be the issue that they would make out of it. You can't say he got elected twice, fair and square, so you can't say America's a racist country. There are plenty of white folks that voted for Obama, because, I mean, you're not going to be president unless you get plenty of white people's votes, as white people are the majority of the country. And anybody who I talk to in my neighborhood, when I start breaking things down on that level, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, let me think about that.
And right. That's why I get so mad at us on the Republican side, because we have common sense on our side. Our policies make sense. Conservatism is what made this country. It makes sense. But unfortunately, we do not have the right communication. Our communications game is terrible on our side. It really is. I mean, one of the things that gets me so upset, and I mean, I love Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I really do, but I don't understand how, when they're having all this, the president white supremacist, I don't understand why at every press briefing she does not have a big screen in the back showing all those pictures of him with Beyonce, with Spike Lee, with Snoop. That would literally be playing in the background of every press briefing that we ever do.
Keep it on
for the whole rest of the next 6 years of Trump, because this is ridiculous. A lot of people don't know about a lot of that stuff. Like, a lot of people don't know about the fact that when Jennifer Hudson's whole family, when her family had got killed back in, I forgot what year that was, where, that her sister's ex-husband killed the mother, the sister, and their nephew, that Trump put that family up in his hotel in Chicago for months.
I saw that. I said,
would do something like that.
Right. It was social media, only social media, where we saw that. We brought that video. As soon as we saw that video clip, we brought that to you guys. I mean, but about messaging, I agree 100%. We've got some new guys coming out, especially about the, not so much about race, but about the border, the issue on the border. And I think we've got some new guys, if you will. Like, I've got this clip here by Matt Yates that kind of juxtapose what they're saying versus what the Democrats are saying. So this is Matt Yates tweeting out, I don't know what's political demagoguery about saying, do you want people here on merit or not?
Well, the reason we know Democrats are disingenuous when they say to just use the normal processes to secure the border is that they've been in charge of the Congress for more than 4 months, and Nancy Pelosi has not put a single border security bill on the floor for us to vote for or against.
And here is what Senator Richard Blumenthal said about that. Watch.
It is despicable demagoguery designed simply to appeal to Donald Trump's base and prepare for the 2020 election. It is a political document, not a realistic reform proposal. It's designed for the Donald Trump base, not for the American people.
What do you say to that?
I don't know what's political demagoguery about saying, do you want people here on merit or not? Do you want people that come here to speak English or not? Do you want frivolous asylum claims sent immediately back to their home country or not? These aren't views that are outside the norm. I think most American people would want an asylum system that works, but what we have right now, Martha, is catch and release. The Democrats are against the catch, we're against the release, and I think that with the president's new plan, we have a framework that really shows the contrasts between the parties heading into the next election.
So Congressman Matt Gaetz just absolutely smacking the Democrats around. What do you think about what he said about the demagoguery and the Democrats? I mean, you heard what the Democrats said. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, what he said makes total sense. But once again, it goes back to what I was saying about race. The reason why we don't have a wall right now is because the president is seen as racist. So if the president is seen as racist, then his wall is seen as racist. And the Democrats can go and say, oh, the president only wants merit-based immigration because he's racist. That's the only reason why we don't have the things we have. That's why I said it's all about messaging. The Democrats have gone and made the message out that we're all a bunch of racists. And for the average person who doesn't look in, who's not a cable news junkie, who just kind of turns by the TV, looks at the newspaper, looks at the front of it, doesn't really read and go deep into the story, their mind is thinking that President Trump is a racist. And the wall's all about race and racism. And that's why we have to get back to the initial point of this man not being a racist. That's why I said our messaging is wrong. Because they keep, what Republicans tend to do is we tend to message on things that make common sense as far as, obviously, you don't want to have all these people coming in here because we're not even taking care of our own people. All those things make sense. That's all great, well and good, but they're not going to be effective until we get past the point of the president not looking or being racist. Because you can say all of that, but then Don Lemon's going to come on tonight and say white supremacist is in the White House and the president's a white supremacist and blah, 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 and none of that will matter. That's why I said that it all goes, all this is lovely, Matt Gaetz. It's lovely and it's wonderful, but as long as President Trump is seen by a major portion of the United States as a racist, as a white supremacist, as dumb as it is, we're never going to get this done. And I don't understand why the Republicans don't see that, why that's not clicking for us, but that's where the real issue lies. If we go back, take it back to the beginning and show the receipts that this man is not a racist, there are plenty of receipts out there, and keep fighting that message, everything else will fall into place. Because black people, believe it or not, are not for illegal immigration. But they're also not for racism. So if you have that racism thing put out there first, they're not even going to see the rest of it because they put racism out there first. That's why Don Lemon looks in the camera very soberly and says, the president is a racist. Media is what's pushing Joe Biden. Joe Biden's candidacy right now is a media creation. If I were Joe Biden, there's no way in hell I would do this. He had a good reputation on the side of Obama. He was going to retire, go off into the sunset. If they think that Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren are going to sit idly by and not rip Biden apart.
Well, here's the thing. They're talking.
Primary. He's nuts.
They're talking about, rumors have it. Well, first off, I think they tapped Joe Biden because name recognition, and they really, truly thought, okay, well, we promised. He stepped aside because we asked him to, because we had promised it to Hillary. Now we actually need Joe. Let's get him in there. Now people are talking Joe Kamala team. Kamala vice president,
Kamala
Joe
very
president.
Smartly said no, like he'll be my vice president. And I'm no Kamala fan, but I thought that was a really, really good answer because it's like, no, you're not going to get me with the okey doke. I have my own campaign. I have my own ideas. And you're not going to run me behind this man. And I honestly don't see him making out of the primary because he keeps talking about Trump. And that's nice and all, but you ain't there yet, buddy. If you really think that the woke people are going to let you get through this primary, you are nuts. They are not. They're going to rip him apart. He has so much stuff in his past, the Ukraine stuff, the China comment, all his racially insensitive stuff, all the stuff insensitive to women. He still has not gotten endorsement from Obama. That was telling right there.
Hold on.
He said he didn't want it. That's
he said
lie.
he didn't want it.
That's a lie from the pit of hell. Of course he wanted it. Anybody want? They all want it. Because if he had Obama's endorsement, then he'd be in there like swimwear. I'd be like, okay, then Biden's unstoppable. Right. If he had that. That's the one thing that he needs that he does not have. And even Anita Hill didn't forgive him for 91. He's not going to make it out of the primary. He is a media creation. They're setting him up the same way they did Hillary. He's a fool. If I were Joe Biden, I did all this work all these years. I sat in the background of Congress for 40 years. I became vice president. I was Obama's handler basically for 8 years. I don't know why he can't just go off into the sunset. He has billions of dollars doing all types of government crap, the crap they all do. This is stupid, Joe Biden. You are ruining your whole legacy behind this. And it'd be smarter if he didn't run at all. He's an idiot. He's crazy.
But the powers that be are so strong. I don't think he can get away from it. But
he just lied to him and tell him that he has a real chance. Yes. And that's really what it is. The media is continuing to lie to him.
Right. They did that to the Clinton, too. Well,
it's Hillary.
And the other thing, too, about...
They use you up. The media really... The Democrats don't realize the media is really not your friend. No. Do you think they are? Right. But they really use and manipulate them to get through leftist policies. But they're not their friend. Just the same way that, Mueller was everything to the media. Oh my God, he's amazing. He's great. He's great. He's great. Now he's garbage. Same thing with Barr. Oh, Barr is great. Now Barr is garbage. They're going to use Joe Biden the same way. Same thing with Hillary. They love Hillary so much. Now Hillary's garbage. They're only using Joe Biden because Joe Biden's the only one that can get, President Trump aggravated. The rest of them, please. He's like, come on, seriously. But Joe Biden's the only one that can get President Trump aggravated. The only one he's going to tweet about, and that's why they did this. But Joe Biden, you are being used. You're being played, sir. You're not going to win. It's not happening. All your old stuff's going to come out. All that stuff with your son in Ukraine, that stuff does not look good. If I were him, I would drop out tomorrow. It's not worth it. He has nothing to gain by this because he's not going to win.
And you talking about his son, that stuff is front and center with us on social media. We're talking about it. Other politicians are bringing it up. We even got people from the left nervous about it.
Kamala and Corey are going to kill him with that. Like, you think they're going to sit idly by and say, oh, Joe Biden, oh, go ahead. No, they're going to kill him. That's what he doesn't realize. Like, they're going to demolish him.
Sorry, Uncle Joe.
He's crazy. They're going to demolish him in that primary. I can't wait. I'm popping my popcorn now.
Absolutely. I can't wait. So, well, we got that, and then we were talking about De Blasio and the I don't know if you heard about the clip. De Blasio was doing an interview this morning, and check this out real quick. Okay, so that clip, you saw him chanting in the background, liar, liar, liar. I'm dumbfounded that Black Lives Matter is De Blasio that bad?
Then you have to understand, and this is what the media picks and chooses what they want to cover. There's a fissure in the Democrats. What you were saying was so funny. We were saying about Obama being reelected. You have to understand, this coming from a person who was black, person who voted for Obama in 2008. I didn't vote in 2012, but I voted in 2008. People, and not just black people, white people as well, genuinely thought, because I know even growing up as a black person in the United States, I'm 35, I was born in July 1983. Growing up my whole life in the early 80s and 90s, we were socialized to believe that we're trying to get through a black president, and once we get a black person, Obama's not black, by the way. We'll
throw that one away. Yeah, that's okay. Yep.
Neither is Kamala Harris, but that's a whole other thing.
Right? Oh no, she's Jamaican.
Get a black person, to the pinnacle height of, power, the most powerful man in the world, president of the United States, that, our problems will be over, racial equality, we work everything out, and whatever. Funny thing about Obama, I must say, during the primary in 2008, I did not vote for Obama. I voted for Hillary because I was like, I don't know who this guy is. I know Bill. I know he had the sunglasses on, 92 on Arsenio. Right. I know Hill. I know Bill. I know Hill. So I know Bill. So I know Hillary. So I really wasn't. I was like, who's this Obama guy? Like, who is he? Where'd he come from? I don't know. Hussein thing. I'm not gonna lie. That freaked me out because
it freaked out a lot of black people. A lot of black people didn't pick up on Obama at first. Yeah.
What's that about? And people also try to blame birtherism on Trump. I mean, Trump definitely took the relay with that, but that was started by his friend. Remember, his friend at the time was Hillary. Hillary and Trump were like this back in the day.
Man,
People
you got
forget
that.
about
Yeah, you got
that
that
Bill
one.
Clinton is the person who encouraged Donald Trump to run. That was covered in, that's not just right-wing conspiracy theory either.
It's true.
That was covered in the Washington Post and the New York Times. So there are receipts behind that. And the whole point of him running was they wanted to double-cross Trump and say, okay, we have Trump run, and Hillary will definitely beat him. But they didn't realize, they didn't expect people to fall in love with Trump. Because I fell in love with Trump. I didn't think I was going to fall in love with Trump.
We all did.
In my mind. Well, this is the thing with Obama and the Democrats and the whole issue with de Blasio, Black Lives Matter. When Obama was first elected, people were like, okay, you know, it's going to be great change and hope and change and whatever. Now, the first time around, he got 95% of black people. Black people said, okay, well, you know, Congress is fighting him and it's going to be difficult and blah, 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 blah. Let's elect him again. Second time around, elect him again. Nothing happened. A lot of black people going into 2016 were pissed about the fact that Obama did not come through like he was supposed to. I remember seeing an interview with him, I think with Fareed Zakaria, the guy from CNN, the Indian-looking guy.
Oh, yeah.
They did an interview on his show, and he was saying, this is like the end of 2016, when he's about to be out before Trump got in. It was like right before the election. He was saying that, you know, I tried to do X, Y, Z, but white supremacy. And my thing is, look, Obama, look, that's bullcrap, because at the end of the day, you were the most powerful man in the world. Not black man, not white, most powerful man in the entire world, period. Right. There is no white supremacy, no nothing that could stop you from doing what you want to do if that's what you really wanted to do. It's obvious that he was not there for the black people that put him in. So a lot of black people are upset. A lot of black people, that's why people didn't vote. That's why they didn't vote for Hillary. Because Obama got 93% of black people, then it was like 90%, and then Hillary only got 88. And they have to have those high numbers to get election. And that's why. So a lot of people in the black movement, even coming into 2020 now, there's a movement called, I don't know if you heard about it, but it's hashtag ADOS. The ADOS movement is American Descendants of Slaves. Basically, these are black people, mostly Democrats, who are very upset, and they're actually going for reparations, things like that, because they're very upset about the fact that Democrats have been using the black vote, and they haven't been, you know, doing anything for black people. And many of them are saying that unless a Democratic candidate comes through with reparations, not just the conversation, you know, that's the whole thing. I want a conversation. That ain't going to happen. What does a conversation mean? Mind you, there was no conversation about DACA. He just signed that. But But now the Democratic candidates, we have to have a conversation about reparations. But what they're saying is that, especially the most, you know, ardent ones are saying that Trump gets reelected. Oh, well, I don't care. Whatever. If they're not coming through with something, then Trump will be reelected. They're not even scared of Trump. So like even the Trump fear isn't working with them. So these are the type of people that will be protesting a Bill de Blasio. So I'm actually not surprised by that at all.
So I'm curious. I guess that's probably why Kamala Harris and Booker and all these other Democrats are jumping on the reparations bandwagon.
Yeah.
And
they're doing
you bringing that back up again?
With black people, like Kamala Harris is not really doing that well with black people. She's going the Hillary route with the pandering and things. And also she's not, you know, an American black woman. She's not black. She's half Indian and Jamaican. She's not black the same way that I'm black, descendant of slaves. She's not that. So a lot of black people picked up on that the same way Obama was. They picked up on that. They're like, no, we're not doing this again. And then there's the fact she went on that radio station and she lied about the weed thing with the Tupac. So people like
her dad beat her down.
People are the ones who caught her in that lie because she said that she listened to them in college. And the thing is that she was in college 6 years before they even came out on record.
What about
smoking weed?
Right. What about her dad? What about her dad? Her dad called her out and said, hey, not only that, but our family actually owns slaves. Sorry.
Right. So black people are calling them out on their food. Oh, you see my cat in the background. That's my baby. And well, the cat died today. The grumpy cat. So R.I.P. Grumpy Cat this morning. I saw this morning. I know conservatives are like dog people. There are conservative people who like cats. Everybody on Fox loves dogs. I love cats.
No, Rush Limbaugh. I can't explain it, but Rush Limbaugh is a cat lover.
Oh yes, me and Rush.
I don't
because everybody hates on cats so much. Like only like me, Rush Limbaugh, and Cat Tim for like the only Republican conservative.
I'm sorry, Doc.
Who like cats. Everybody hates cats on the conservative side. I love cats.
Oh, and my problem growing up,
she's a black Republican. My cat. She's a black Republican.
And here's the problem: growing up, my grandfather hated cats. And I watched my dad as he would grab if the cat ever got inside the house, he would grab it and throw it 20, 30 feet in the air. They hated they were brutal.
Poor kitty.
We never tortured cats or anything like that, but I just witnessed it. And I also believe that my babysitter had much influence on that. That would be Jerry the mouse. And no, we sympathize with Jerry.
I was going to say, like, the reason why I love cats, I mean, I've had cats my whole life because, I'm born and raised in New York City. So when I was a kid, it was a necessity because if you didn't want mice, you had to get you a cat.
Oh.
So, I mean, that is what it is. And I've grown to love them over like the past 20 years. But, actually 20, 25 years, I've always had a cat. But that's why. And in New York City, I live in the Bronx. So I don't have any mice here, thank God. But if I didn't have this cat, I'm sure they'd be running around.
Well, here on the on the west side of Cincinnati, if you see garden snakes, and I'm telling my wife this again, she you leave me. They're cool. They're cool. They don't have any teeth. They don't bite, but they will take care of all your rodent problems.
Okay.
Nice little garden snakes, and they just kind of hang out and like to stay near the house and stay warm. My wife saw one, screamed at the lady across the street who's a little bit, out. And she grabbed the shovel and she started, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Why we got to do that? Come on, leave me alone.
The serpent has always had a bad rap since the Garden of Eden. So, no one's really, into serpents. You know what I mean? So I totally get it. A snake would scare the crap out of me. I think I may have seen a real snake once. I mean, they have those guys in the subway in New York have like the snake around their neck, and you'll see it like a Coney Island. People will pet it. You'll see that, like the huge snake.
Right.
So you'll see that. I noticed, though, that you're down in Cincinnati. You're right across from Covington. How was that scandal seen on a local level? I mean, I saw it here nationally, but was it like a big? Do you know anything about the school on like a local level?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and the thing was when it first broke, Mike, I don't know about the Catholic churches. I'm Protestant. I go to Church of Christ
as well. What kind of Protestant are you?
Church of Christ, pretty much. Okay, just open, non-denominational.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up Pentecostal, so we're the Pentecostal hand clapping, tongue talking.
I've been there.
My parents are ministers; they're pastors. I grew up in that.
I went to a church one time like that. I got scared, but no. My cousin is him and his wife are both Catholic, and he knew the Covington schoolboys because they wrestled against them. But when that story broke, he didn't put two and two together. He didn't realize that it was the Covington Catholic across the river. Otherwise, we would have been there on Jimmy on the spot, would have been interviewing it, would have been, there wasn't any protest. There wasn't really anything. I did drive over there and I did a scope. It's a very, very well-to-do. I mean, I use the word wealthy, but a very beautiful, giant complex of a high school, all boys Catholic school. Local here, a lot of Catholics run this city, a lot of old German, old Catholics, and they weren't buying that too much. It didn't go over very well here, but it played out nationally like it was insane.
Right. Because they try to make it sound like, these are like a whole bunch of hicks from like the deep south. And then when I looked one day, I was like, where is Covington? I'm like, oh, it's like right across. This is like Midwest almost. Like, are they serious right now? Like, they make it sound we're from the deep south and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not even like, this is the media narrative just spins things. I know myself being a MAGA person and having, because unlike a lot of these black conservatives, no shade on anyone, but I actually voted for President Trump. Like, I've been on Trump train since before the election. I actually have a tape. There's actually a video on my Twitter that I took of me voting for Trump.
Right. So again, I definitely want to absolutely thank you, folks. Look in the show notes. Our guest at Real Benji Irby. It's right there. Just click on it. It's a clickable link. It'll take you right over to his Twitter account, so you can follow him. I post up your link in New Right Network's chat, folks. NewRightNetwork.com. And the folks over there, very diverse. We've got women and men. Black and white, and all. There's just such a diversity of writers, thinkers, and shows like this as well over at New Right Network, and this the original series SmythTV. So, last words on 2020 and your thoughts.
Well, I definitely think that we need to get our messaging together. I'm all about messaging. Get our messaging together for 2020. President Trump, I do think that there should be a greater outreach to the black community through black conservatives. I think there should be some sort of. I do want Trump to have. I mean, I went to the White House with YBLS. I mean, I was there, but I would like to see a rally in a more in a more black area or whatever per se. I was at not like New York or LA, something stupid like that, but somewhere like in the Midwest, somewhere like that. I would like to see that. I would like to see more outreach in that. And really, I feel like for most of what President Trump is doing is good. I just want better messaging as to what he's doing and better combat to the lies, because they're using these same narratives that we know are not true. But why are they not being debunked every day? We have to be on top of it. I think that they should go back to doing press briefings, but do them in a way that's effective. Stop making it a circus for Jim Acosta and whoever the hell, and start hitting back. Because I'm telling you, if she came and had a screen in back of her flashing pictures of Trump with Rosa Parks and Beyonce and this one and that one and third one, a lot of that foolishness that you get in that press briefing, like with April Ryan and her race baiting, you wouldn't get. You know what I mean? I feel like they're not using the time that we have effectively, and I feel like the person who's doing the best messaging is the president himself, which that shouldn't be.
Again, thank you, Benji. And folks, jump down there in the show notes, click his name at Real Benji Irby, jump over to Twitter and follow him. All right, man, we'll see you till next time. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, folks. And again, thank you, Benji, for all that you do to help make America great again. Thank you for all the words that you go out and use to influence other people to get out the real, true news of the day, or the information that's real, calling out, Nazi racism, white supremacists, all that nonsense, calling it out and explaining it to your friends and the people in the Bronx. And hopefully we can make a difference some way, somehow. The difference is going to be made, though, in our schools, and we've got a very difficult uphill battle with this. And when I say difficult uphill battle, this is our good friend at Trump 45, MAGA Michelle 2020. Student confronts liberal teacher who knows it all. Claims to be smarter than the dictionary. This is difficult, folks, but check this out.
Okay, ready? It's not a terrorist attack. Okay, it's not a terrorist attack. It's not a terrorist. It's not a terrorist attack when there's no political aim. A terrorist attack when you commit violence to further a political goal. You're wrong. Terrorism does not have to have a political agenda. That's literally the definition. The Vegas shooter had, as far as we know, no political aim. Terrorism, the unlawful use of violence. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. The Vegas shooter, as far as we know, unless something comes out, what do you mean you're not smarter than the dictionary? Yes, I am. I bet you I am.
This is where the problem lies with the Department of Education. This teacher should be fired. I am smarter than the dictionary. I promise you, yes, I am. This is where the problem lies therein. We've got a really big uphill battle, folks, and we've got to stay at it. We've started Justice Patriots. Justice Patriots is a super PAC that will be promoting pro-America, America first, MAGA, if you will, agenda. And our ultimate goal is to make a difference in the Department of Education through local and through national elections. We've got to tackle this. It's a 25, 35, 40-year goal, but if we don't start it now, it'll never happen, and it's only going to get worse when you have this absolute nonsense coming out from these teachers. And now trending today, treason and the Logan Act. We've talked about Iran interference with John Kerry, and so is Donald Trump tweeting out about that. John Kerry interfering with Iran as a political or as some kind of official individual who is not employed or officially sanctioned by the United States, dealing with Iran is a violation of the Logan Act and should be prosecuted. And we have more interference with deep staters, former deep staters. We have more interference with Iran and North Korea. And Donald Trump tweets this out today. At Real Donald Trump, the fake news media is hurting our country with its fraudulent and highly inaccurate coverage of Iran. It is a scattershot, poorly sourced, made up, and dangerous. At least Iran doesn't know what to think, which at this point may very well be a good thing. Yes, it is extremely dangerous the way the mainstream media is playing politics and playing one side to the other side. It's so extremely frustrating. And the reason why treason was trending today, our good friend Mr. McBeevy, at ADRIAN D31. Deep state treason. Former State Department official under Trump tells China to quit negotiating until Trump is removed in 2020. Deep state traitors no longer hide their deep hatred for American people. Lock this one up. Logan Act violation as well. Yes, without a doubt, a former State Department official, Susan Thornton, served March 17 through July 2018 under Trump, tells China to quit negotiating on Trump till he's removed. Don't worry about it. Don't negotiate. Wait till he's removed. Gateway pundit referencing an article from the conservative treehouse who wrote about her, as well as an article written by the South China Morning Post. And the South China Morning Post, I'm going to take their word for it. If this is what she said in a meeting, it was a big conference hall that she was up at the front and she was talking to the conference hall. This is what they wrote. Now, I'm sure they were probably there, had a reporter there. They said that China can weather the storm. This is Susan Thornton speaking, brought by the trade war with the United States, but might have to, if this skeptical attitude towards talking diplomacy continues in this administration, you might have to wait until another administration, Thornton said at an event held by the National Committee of U.S.-China Relations and Shanghai's American Chamber. You know, I promise you that government officials were there. I promise you that this is going to get out to the Chinese government and the heads of state. They're going to talk about this. This is absolute violation of the Logan Act and probably treason. Why? This is unbelievable that a former State Department would do this. But thank goodness she's no longer in office. And this at MAGA Rick, the United States Air Force has reportedly deployed 20 new missiles to deal with escalating threats from North Korea and Iran that can zap their military electronics, thus rendering their militaries completely ineffective. This article written by the Daily Wire. I have no question in my mind that we have the technology and the capability. I mean, go all the way back to the 60s and 70s to the SR-71 Blackbird. Oh man, they could go from New York to London in, I don't know, an hour and 45 minutes, go straight into the stratosphere, come straight back down. Yeah, if we could do that back in the 60s and 70s, it is beyond what we're able to do now. The FA-22 Raptors with the thrust vectoring of the engines where they can literally do a backflip in midair. It's just absolute insanity. It's awesome stuff. But yeah, I believe that we have that capability. And I go ahead, Mr. Trump, do what you got to do to keep America safe. And this tweeted out at Mark Thiessen. Why don't you tweet the video of what he actually said? It was incredibly moving. The story of how his mother survived a concentration camp during the Holocaust and came to America, true promised land. He was responding to a blue check mark at Reuters foreign policy correspondent covering the Pentagon, who made the comment that as tensions between Iran and the United States increase in the Middle East, the Pentagon briefing room is being used to host Gene Simmons of KISS, which I absolutely agree that this tweet is misleading because what are you trying to say? Yes, KISS is a former singer of a rock band, but what is it you're really trying to say about this? Not even showing the video. And so I've done that for you to help out so that you can see it.
Israel. I know I don't look Swiss. And I'm a proud son of a concentration camp survivor of Nazi Germany. My mother was 14 when she was in the camps. I'm measuring my words because I'm about to break up again. And again, my mother just passed at 93. If Americans could see and hear my mother, almost there, talk about America, they would understand. And I'll just cut to the chase. When we first came to America, my mother let me stay up and watch TV with her, and I couldn't speak English very well. And my mother could barely get by. She worked 6 days a week, and at night we would watch the news and whatever, and by 12 o'clock, the 3 or 4 TV stations would go off the air, and you would hear this kind of just noise, and people presumably would go to sleep. Before then, we saw a jet flying through the sky, on TV, a jet flying through the sky, and a man in a very deep voice was saying something I couldn't understand it, and the jet then turned skyward and flew seemingly into the heavens through the clouds. And I remember what the man said, and saw the face of God. And then it melted into a black and white, because in those days we didn't have color TV. The flag was full screen, billowing. And I heard, da, 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 the national anthem, and I didn't know what it was or what was going on, and it was almost time to go to sleep. It was late, and every time my mother saw the flag, she'd start crying. As an 8-year-old boy, I didn't understand why. But from my mother's point of view, we were finally safe. I may have been born in the country, everybody. Give me 2 seconds. I may have been born in the country that people throughout history have referred to as the Promised Land, but take my word for it. America is the Promised Land for everybody. And don't be ashamed, don't hesitate. We need to teach young people to be comfortable with saying, God bless America. End of my story.
This by the Brighton and Herald. I had no idea that Gene Simmons' story and the backstory of his mother being in a concentration camp at 14 years old, how emotional and how moving. We've got to continue with these stories and keep talking about these stories again and again and again. They're going to rewrite history. Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, AOC, they're already doing it right now. The Department of Education re-educating our children improperly. Now we start to move over to the Operation Boomerang. Here's some quick updates about what is going on. At the Washington Times, Gerald Nadler, White House letter, astoundingly dangerous. Pretty much Nadler going nuts. Jerry Nadler, the White House letter, it's got him all upset because the White House is saying that, no, we are not going to cooperate with another redo of the Mueller investigation. We're not cooperating with that whatsoever. And Nadler now complains. He says, I don't even want the Mueller investigation. I don't want the under-redacted Mueller investigation anymore. I'm not even asking for that. We're going to redo this. No, sorry. We're not redoing this. There is no redo. And this at Dull, ARNTZEN. Poor Nancy, the moral bankrupt swamp hag, seems to be suffering drug and alcohol psychosis, and throw in a side of crooked as hell. She needs to be removed from her post. Her behavior is inflammatory and dangerous to our country. She has to go. This by Breitbart.com.
Yes, ma'am. Jerry Nadler said today that the conduct of the administration is such that he cannot rule out anything else. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, let me just say this. The letter that came from the White House yesterday was completely outrageous. Was that last night? I don't know when it became in the public domain. It was a totally outrageous letter. It says the president is above the law and Congress has no right to investigate any of the actions of the president, hold him accountable in any way. Here's the point. I think that you'd have to speak to Jerry about all of his intentions in that, but here's what the law is that we all would agree to. When they are saying, unless you have a legislative purpose, you cannot ask any questions. You cannot investigate unless you have a legislative purpose. But one of the purposes of that the Constitution spells out for investigation is impeachment. And so you can say, and the courts would respect if you said, we need this information to carry out our oversight responsibilities, and among them is impeachment. It doesn't mean you're going on an impeachment path, but it means if you had the information, you might. So it isn't about impeachment, it's about impeachment as a purpose, a constitutional purpose for and justifying constitutionally and court-wise a path.
And is that an argument you're prepared to make before the courts, to say to the courts, we may impeach, therefore this is what we do?
Well, no, we hope we don't have to do that. We hope that they would respect their oath of office and respect the separation of powers.
Everybody respects separation of powers. You're going after the president for what? Are you investigating a crime? What is the crime? That's the problem we all have with what's going on with the Democrats right now. There is no there. The Mueller investigation is over. The Mueller investigation was to look for a crime. There is no crime, and it's over and done, and they can't let it go because if they do, Hillary will hang. That's Hillary's words, not mine. Hillary Clinton's words, not mine. And Attorney General Barr was interviewed yesterday, and here's part of that interview. At Beach USA 45, it's laughable to claim he lied to Congress, as Speaker Pelosi has AG Barr.
Nancy Pelosi, she believes you lied under oath. What do you think of that charge?
Well, I think it's a laughable charge, and I think it's largely being made to try to discredit me, partly because they may be concerned about the outcome of a review of what happened during the election. But obviously, you can look at the face of my testimony and see on its face that there's nothing inaccurate about it.
He also said in that interview that his goal is to find out if anybody had their thumb on the scales of power, who was weighting on one side, weight on one side versus weight on the other side, unless it's balanced. That is exactly what he's looking for, and that's what he's going after. This Representative Devin Nunes talks about the interview.
Let's bring in Congressman Devin Nunes, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, you've been listening to this interview that just happened in El Salvador with the Attorney General. And what really catches you is what he just said about how he's gotten more questions now as the Attorney General than when he first started, saying that the questions he's asked so far, he feels the answers he's received have been inadequate.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's very similar to the House Republican investigation. As we continue to pull back pieces of the onion, more and more things started to fall out that we had to follow up on. You know, even today, we continue to be in need of more answers, right? So, I mean, just in the last few days, we found out that there are emails that involve Christopher Steele that were sitting at the FBI, at the State Department, at the Department of Justice, that were not only not given to Congress. I think every American knows out there that Congress ran an investigation. Anything involving Christopher Steele, the spy that the Clinton campaign ultimately hired, should have been given to Congress. Now, how did we just find out about this in the last few days? So, and I can go on and take up your whole show with questions that I have, but I think what you're seeing is a real attorney general, a professional, and someone who's not going to take this poisonous garbage that the Democrats and the Clinton campaign started, and irresponsible people in Congress and the media continue to put out there and poison people.
AG Barr was also asked the question, when did Mueller know that there was no there? When did Mueller know that the investigation was over and there was not enough evidence of or there wasn't any evidence of collusion on the Trump campaign? AG Barr said he couldn't answer that. Devin Nunes answers that and says, no, he knew day one. We did our own investigation. It was over with. He knew on day one that there was no collusion with the Trump campaign. And at Sarah Carter, D.C., Real Donald Trump, this was treason. Someone has to go to jail. Hashtag Russia investigation, hashtag Steele dossier. This by SarahCarter.com. Donald Trump tweets out, my campaign for president was conclusively spied on. Nothing like this has ever happened in American politics. A really bad situation. Treason means long jail sentences, and this was treason. Trump also tweeted out, now it seems that General Flynn was under investigation long before was common knowledge. It would have been impossible for me to know about this, but if that was the case, and with me being one of two people who would become president, why was I not told about it? So that I could make a change. At Rudy Giuliani, moving on to the Democrats, he tweets out, Candace Owens speaks for an ever-increasing number of Americans who are coming to realize how Democrat rule of our cities has led to decades-long deterioration and misery. Her tweet was, I'm hearing that Black Lives Matter is planning a protest to Bill de Blasio appearance on GMA this morning. How bad of a mayor must you be to have unite the NYPD and Black Lives Matters against you? And we'll end with this brilliant mind, this brilliant young mind at the CJ Pearson. You can't say Black Lives Matter and also support Planned Parenthood.
Hi guys, I'm CJ Pearson. You know what's really ironic to me? People that say Black Lives Matter but also support Planned Parenthood. Because Planned Parenthood was literally founded by a racist named Margaret Sanger who spoke to the KKK and said that the ambition of her organization was to exterminate black folks. But you want to go and say that Black Lives Matter while supporting a racist organization founded on a racist foundation and say that you care about black people, right? Because I don't think it's a coincidence that most Planned Parenthoods are located in walking distance of black and Latino neighborhoods. I don't think it is. I think that's actually by design and intentional, of course, true to the founder's goal of exterminating people that look like me and other people of color. So no, I am not surprised in any way that that is the way in which they operate. But what I am surprised that people really do still get away with saying Black Lives Matter when they support abortions which disproportionately affect black and brown people. So Black Lives Matter, but not black unborn babies. So Black Lives Matter, but the extermination of our people is permissible, okay, and even something to be encouraged, right? But Black Lives Matter. Just not enough, I guess.
This is encouragement of the young minds that are coming up nowadays. CJ Pearson, absolutely one to follow. Candace Owens, one to follow. Charlie Kirk, one to follow. And then our good friend and our guest at Real Benji Irby, absolutely one to follow. These are the great minds that are coming up nowadays. And you've been watching New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news and giving you the real news. That's what we do here, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And I lost track, man. I didn't realize it was already Friday. Holy smoke, fantastic Friday feeling. Is treason. People going to jail, folks. People are going to jail. Justice finally being served. Donald Trump knows exactly what's going on. He's seen all the documents. We've got Mark Meadows seen the documents, Jim Jordan. We've got some great folks that are in the battle for America on our side with us. And again, share the show with your friends, your family. It's on the YouTubes, on the Twitters, on the Facebook. Jump down to the show notes and you'll see a link for Telegram. Telegram is an app on your phone to where you can receive our shows live when they show up. So if you're not on Twitter, you're not on social media, but you got your cell phone in hand, big tech companies can't block us. They can't block us on Telegram. So you'll get the show live, all the information, the show notes live on Telegram. Never miss a beat. Again, also iHeartRadio if you want to listen audio only in the show notes as well. For a Friday feeling, man, have a good week and enjoy your families.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.